So number one, if you see a problem like this, what would be your first suggestion for someone to do on a problem like this? Any thoughts? You were trying to help someone how to start this, yeah.
I would set RA.
All right, so so that works. So RA, what Luke is saying here is that RA and WI better be equal based off the name. The way they're named is strategic. It's not just a random, obviously I use like words that we know, RAM and Wisconsin there, but the idea is that the R and A are next to each other and the WI are next to each other, and that's supposed to be that way intentionally. That means that those corresponding parts are equal. Now, if you don't visualize that well, if you have a hard time picturing something, I would suggest drawing a picture. So Luke didn't need to do that, and that's perfectly fine. But if you're ever unsure, you can always draw a picture. It's just you have to make sure you name it, that it makes sense for you. So RAM, I went around this way. WIS, going around this way. So we know RA is 8x plus 7. And like Luke said, WI is 11x minus 5. They tell us AM is 10x. But that's not really helpful for us because we know that these are corresponding parts. So I don't even really need to know what MA is or AM. That's just kind of distracting information. So if you don't need to draw a picture, like Luke didn't need to draw a picture, he just set up the algebra. If you do need to draw a picture, because not everyone can visualize what's going on here, make sure you draw it correctly. So you want to draw it so that it's named the way that we know how to name triangles. And again, those two should be equal. So I can set them equal. And then we're going to be able to solve for x. So would you guys move first? You wanted to move the what? -5, so you added 5, yeah. Okay. Now what we do, if we move the 5 first, now what do we have to do? Yeah, Bella? Yeah, move that 8x. And then hopefully, at this point, we know to divide by 3, right? Now also be careful on things like big tests, big exams, the ACT, they ask questions like this all the time where they're not just asking you for X, they're asking you for WI. So we have to go and put that back in to figure out what WI's length is. So we take that X and put it back in for WI. 44 minus 5, so we get 39. Bless you. So there's one very similar to this on the exam review, and I think Reese is even looking it up right now for us. It might be number 19. So if you were stuck on number 19, this is really similar to number 19. So if you want to write that next to it, if you were kind of getting hung up on that, again, I did that intentionally so that you guys can then go and practice a problem like that. So kind of just getting that process and that idea down, okay? All right, so the measure of a vertex angle of an isosceles triangle is 92 degrees. Sketch the triangle and label all angles. So, since this one tells us we have to sketch it, and now sketch means it doesn't have to be precisely 92 degrees, so don't freak out if you're like, oh, my drawing's really bad, I'm not judging you on your drawing. Just sketching it, you're not grabbing any kind of tools to measure that. So we need to draw an isosceles triangle. What do I know about an isosceles triangle? Yep.
Two base angles are the same.
Two of the, what's that the same? Yeah, the base angles are the same, so we can draw a triangle with 2 equal base angles, and again, my drawing might be bad. So I have 2 equal base angles, I'm going to draw those. But where's the vertex angle, or what is the vertex angle? What's that? 92. And is that one of the equal angles? No, that has to be the top angle in my drawing. And then once we have that, we can find those base angles. We did this a bunch yesterday, so hopefully this goes a little bit better. There's again one like this in our review packet. I know those base angles are equal like Drake said, so I could call them both like unknowns or x's. And what do I know about all the angles together? Yeah, Bella? They add up to 180. So you could set up an equation. And I know some of you guys don't work this way, and that's okay. You didn't set up an equation. If you're like, oh, I would never have thought to do that, that's okay. Other is of you, if you didn't do that, what'd you do over here? I know some of you guys do it without an equation. What'd you do?
I took 180 minus 92, and then divided that answer by 2.
Yeah, which is essentially what we did over here. It's just, it's more informal, and that's okay. Like, don't, I mean, I don't care how you guys get to that answer. We get 88, and then what Luke's saying, we can just break that in half, and then each of these are 44. Okay. And again, that one matches up with one of the ones on the exam review. All right. Next one, we have ATB is an equilateral triangle. What do I know about equilateral triangles? Yeah, go ahead. All the angles are 60, okay? So all the angles are 60. I'll write that down here. So I'm gonna draw, oops, that's not right. What else do we know about it other than the angles? What else do we know about equilateral? All the angles are 60, but what else do we know about it? All the sides are equal. So I'm gonna draw a triangle where all the sides kind of look equal. Like Evelyn said, like all the angles are 60 degrees. And so we know ATB is our triangle. But they say AT is 3 times x. AT, what are they talking about in that case? Are they talking about an angle there? No, AT is a side, it's a segment. So AT is 3 times x, so that's this. So we would write that as 3 times x, or 3x. TB is 20 more than half of x. How would you write that? 20 more of half of x. How would you write that expression? Anyone have it? Yeah, I think you left that one out, so you didn't even need it, yeah.
X over 2 plus 20.
X over 2 plus 20, so that's TB. Now, when I went over by Dawson, he didn't write that one down, and that's okay. Why don't we need to write that one down? Why didn't you write that one down?
Oh, because
It's equilateral. You really only need 2 to set the equation equal, so he's like, forget the one that has the half in it, I'm thinking is what you were up to. Like, why work with that one when I can do the ones that maybe are a little bit easier? So, like, we don't really need this one, so if you end up like leaving one of them out, we'll show that in a second. And then AB is double x increased by 8. How do I write that one? Okay, go ahead, Luke. AB.
Increased by, oh, I know, 2x plus 4.
Yeah, 2x plus 8. Double x plus 8, yeah, increased by 8. All right, so like I said, Dawson said, well, I know they're all equal, so let's leave out this guy, because that one wants to work with a fraction. We know they're all equal, so we can just set those 2 equal to each other. And I'm hoping they all work out. I think they all do okay. Yeah. So we can just set those 2 equal and then solve this. So x ends up being 8. Oh, this is fine. Oh, there I see the y. Now I see it. It's like, where's y? All right, so it asks us for the value of x. We found x. And then it says the measure of angle A is 10y. Find the value of y. So now we have to go back to what Evelyn said. was that all the angles are 60. So they tell me A is 10y, so 10y equals 60. So y ends up being 6. So we found our x and our y. So again, there's another problem on our exam review like this. So it's very similar to that, and just kind of getting that process down and knowing that you guys can, these are things that we learned in the past few weeks and maybe a month ago, and so you might have forgotten some of it. Now graphing might be something you're a little bit rusty on. So when you're graphing, what equation do we work with? Yep. Yeah, so we have our y equals mx plus b. So if it's not already written that way, we want to rewrite it so that it is. So we want to get that into that slope-intercept form. So in order to do that, what do we have to do on this one? What do you do to get your y alone?
I subtracted 2.
Yeah, so you would just subtracted 2 from each side to move that over, because she wants to get the y alone. So we end up with y equals 3x minus 2. How do we know what to do now? Yep.
-2 is the y.
Yeah, that -2 is our y-intercept, which is what we call b. It's where we begin our graph on our y-axis. So the b is -2, so I can begin there. Careful, the b could be 0. There could be no b at all. So watch out for when it equals 0. Sometimes that's a little bit confusing. And then what do we use that 3 for? Yeah, Drake.
Up 3 over 1.
Yeah, that's our slope. So that's going to be up 3 and over 1. So we go up 3 and we move over 1. And then we can reverse it as well. So there's our line. I put number 5 on here because in almost both my classes, scalene was a really tough word. They forgot that, and I don't know if it didn't show up on a vocab sheet or maybe it showed up only once. Do you guys remember what scalene means? Yeah, Izzy? Oh, what's that? All the sides are different lengths. Yep, so all the sides are different lengths in a scalene triangle. So it asks us to draw a scalene triangle with a right angle. So we need to draw a triangle, and again, just sketch it. It doesn't have to be like, we're going to be like, oh, I'm measuring that and figuring out it's not right. So you're drawing a right triangle, but none of the sides can be the same length. And so you just kind of try to draw that so it looks that way. So drawing my angle, those two are clearly not the same length. And then just something like this is fine. So you're showing all 3 sides are not the same length, and it has to be a right triangle. And I think it was Nolan, did you make marks on yours, or somebody made marks on yours? Yeah, just showing, he used like different marks to show they're all different lengths. That's kind of a cool way to do it without having to actually put numbers on there. Okay. So let's flip to the back side. We'll do these last few, and then we're gonna do, like I said, a Kahoot with practicing all this. All right, so parallel and perpendicular. Now, if you notice, this is exactly the same problem, but I did one with parallel, one with perpendicular. All right, help me out. What do we know about parallel lines versus perpendicular? What do we know? Bella? Parallel line slope is the same, so we have the same slope here, which is our M. So we're going to use the slope they give us to then write our equation. And we know the line goes through 9, 0. We have this equation, so what's our slope? So what's our slope? You know it. Our slope is 3, very good. So our slope is 3. It goes through 9, 0, that's our x and y. And so we can use that equation, that y equals mx plus b that Drake has pointed out before, to figure out our new b. We don't want to use their b at all. That's kind of distracting information. Remember, parallel lines never touch, so our b's can't be the same. So I'm going to put all this in to y equals mx plus b. So y is 0, m is 3, x is 9, plus our b. So we're going to move or multiply and then move some stuff around here. So to figure out b, I'm going to move this 27 over. So b ends up being a negative 27. That would have been a big pain to graph, so hopefully you didn't try to graph that one. And then finally, we have y equals 3x minus 27. Fix our ways here. All right, let's do the perpendicular one, and then let's take a break after perpendicular. I think you guys are fading on me here. Come back to our notes here. Perpendicular. What do I know about the slopes for perpendicular? Go ahead, Will, save us on this.
They never cross.
They never cross.
They
Oh, they do cross. Parallel never cross. Sorry.
make a
90-degree angle. There we go. Sorry, I was just agreeing with you. So, what else do we know specifically about the slopes? Yep.
The slope is
Switched. The signs are switched and the fraction will be flipped. So this one's slope is 3 over here. So we have to change it completely, as much as we can change it. So we're going to flip it and change the sign. So what is our new slope going to be? Nolan? Negative 1 over 3. That's our new slope. And then again, we have our x and y here. And so we're doing the same process we just did here. It's good because this ends up being an okay fraction to work with. So negative 1/3 of 9 is negative 1/3 of 9. Should we need a calculator for this one? What's 1/3 of 9? Negative 3. So 1/3 of 9 is 3. So we get negative 3 plus our b. So we find out b is 3. And so we use our new slope and our new b. So since you guys are seeming sleepy, we will finish the last couple after our Kahoot. So we're going to do a Kahoot. Some of the questions are really quick. Some of them need a little bit of work. So if you want scratch paper, a whiteboard, or a calculator, that might be a good idea. And this is basically anything from this year. Yep. It should be +3. Thank you. Sorry guys, did you catch that? +3 over here. Thank you for catching me. Please use your name on the Kahoot so I know who you are. This class doesn't have as much issue as the others, but.
plus, and then you have got that money up?
Sure. Yeah, if you need to sit close to an outlet, go ahead and just move around. Thank you. It's a longer Kahoot, but some of the questions are fast, I think.
Okay.
Like that.
On this one, you get 200, then you ask where.
Go square root it. So square root of 200.
See?
But your answer is 200.
Yeah, because I realized it now. But you are still arguing with me that I'm wrong.
The way you two fight is hilarious. I either think you should be like related or married or something. Yeah, right, yeah, 70 years old, like on your porch.
You're wrong.
Default, I just need to.
Well, I don't know what
His last name. I didn't-
Yeah. I'm everywhere. I love Oh my goodness.
Treat yourself to
I don't know.
Still get 61 with paper and we
Yeah, you might want stretch paper or a calculator. Do we need music?
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, it's just Halloween music.
It is, it's spooky. Oh, no, this is like, oh, this is different, 'cause this is like, this is from somebody else's, movie, like,
You stole it.
I was supposed to, oh yeah, I do have the power.
I just added one question.
You plagiarized it.
No, you didn't. Not the dog, the stuff.
What? Everyone else, the entire year.
Where you are, so.
Stop, don't.
Dance club music here.
Wait, where did you find that?
Okay, we good?
I got 200.
You have to square root 200.
It's about 400. I don't like
Now say 400.
So which one is not parallel to AD? Not parallel.
Eight.
And
I love
I'm just trying to get them all right.
you guys need that light.
it.
Line in you.
Why is my
Oh, yeah. All right, so we have AD, so was it EF? EF is down here. Do you guys remember what we called the AD and EF? What would be the name of that? Skew, very good. So that would be called skew. They don't actually intersect, but they're also not in the same planes. Torrance starting out fast here.
If GP equals 45.
Tell us TV is 45. Can everyone read those? If not, you need an eye exam. TV is 45. We're trying to find X. And you guys, that's not just 2 seconds left. You have like over a minute still. Sorry. Where's a little skew? I'm careful. I think you have to add the 2 and 1 together in a 3. Take that.
Oh,
I think you should be trying.
25. Oh.
And yeah, I did steal this Kahoot, so there's always a possibility, well, there's a possibility even I made it, there's an error. So there's always possible mistakes, so. But I think everything's done. There's an answer.
Oh.
I guess I'll read this.
Oh, it's not charging. It doesn't say the charging. Bad now. Well, get in the top one.
Not here.
Now it's down.
Actually, where?
And
Maybe your partner's broken. No way to win it.
Now it's spazzing out again. Reese, do you want to plug in?
No.
Now it's charging.
Okay.
No, I didn't.
So guys, on this one, we have to add these together. So this is 14x plus 3, and that needs to equal 45. So you end up solving that by subtracting 3 and then dividing by 14 to get our 3. Lead change there.
I saw
Oh, this is a lot going on. I gave you guys plenty of time here. Yeah, it's like 4 minutes. You should have plenty of time. Be a tough one to do in your time.
What is that N? Or by next to the Y?
What's that?
On AXC, what is that?
11y
Oh, okay.
plus 4. Sorry. Oh yeah, the ones look like a big N.
It looks like 5.
Yeah, yeah. Some sort of Greek symbol. Yeah. And that is actually not just 36 seconds. You still have over like 2 minutes. So you have plenty of time. Okay, you're on the right track. Keep going. I'm not giving you the answer.
I'm not asking for the answer. I'm asking if you got 8-1. Or is that completely wrong?
Not completely wrong. It's half wrong. There you go.
Well, if I'm not completely wrong, I'm going with the closest answer.
Yeah, that's the right answer. Your computer just acting up. Do you want to move up like in front of that? Yeah. You can.
Oh my God. I had Z45 and then I added the 3 and I added 1 to it.
Oh,
So I would have had. Use my brain. Back.
There we go. All right, so again, on this one, we needed to add these two together, and then they needed to equal the bigger angle. So the two smaller ones added up to the whole. So you ended up with 3y plus 52 equaled 11y plus 4, and then you were able to solve that. And if you guys, especially on these good work, Reese, especially on these longer questions, feel free to ask. I mean, I don't mind helping you guys. It's not like this is the exam. Notice the marks they gave us. And notice what they're asking for. Make sure you answer the question they're asking. Asking for WOY. This is one you can get wrong if you're not reading what they're asking for. You're confused about to die? Yeah. What's up? So that's the X value, but then they want WOY. So that's the big angle. So you have to put that back in.
Just bear it up.
You have to write it, that's right, you just need to go further.
I know where you're going.
Sure.
Alright, about 15 seconds left. Those of you guys still working? No pressure or anything. Yeah.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Down. Hey, I got one.
I have one you. Yeah. I'm going to, but I have to order like case. Okay, guys. So, those of you guys who said 10, sorry, didn't read the question. They want WOY, which is the big angle. So you had to put it back in and find out each of these was 21, and then doubled was 42. So that's one of those like kind of technicality ones. Didn't slip up Reese there.
Yeah, it's comes up from 7.
All right, midpoint. They give you the formula. That's nice of them. It's right there for you. Midpoint.
It's bad.
So if this is one, if you don't have this on your note card, I put the note midpoint on your note card. Sorry, apparently I should have done a little more tonight. No.
Yep.
Okay, guys, so you add the 3 and -1, and that's 2. Divided by 2, we get 1. -3, -5 is the -8. Divided by 2 is our -4.
You got it wrong.
Oh, Reed.
All right, Torrin takes the lead back. Crash talking ensues. All right, here's your distance.
I don't want to know the
Just remember you have to do the square
I'm
root.
allergic.
Okay, give me square root of distance. And I'll tell you, these problems in the beginning are longer than the ones later. But yes. Right, we need one. Yeah, I can email it.
Oh, that's how I told you I was thinking.
I found it on like their Facebook.
Oh, yeah. Did you, because I was looking at you.
I know, I'm like, I know there's a, let me just forward it
But I
to you.
looked I looked on the website and they don't have it.
Yeah,
What?
alright guys, so
I didn't use.
if you got 100, you forgot to take the square root, like Luke has been reminding us all morning. So you have to like put those values in and you end up with 100 when you come out of there, and then you have to take the square root to get 10.
How did you not even move it? This is not fair.
So converse.
Oh,
That's hard to read, sorry. There's not much time. You might have to make a good guess. Sorry. Speed reader, nice. 2 seconds. Sorry, make a good guess. All right, I apologize. You guys are always my guinea pig, my first class set. So converse is you flip the if-then parts, right? So if a polygon has 6 sides, then the polygon is a hexagon. Sorry about timing there. All right, here's your non-math question.
How am I supposed to know this?
yeah.
I
don't
know.
pay attention to the drawing.
North.
I didn't know this. I just looked this up.
Do you seriously know? I know what 2 of them are for sure.
Ah, that'd be
I
funny.
knew that I was this high.
Wait, one of them is the same?
Yeah, one of his kids is
I
saying.
just clicked that.
Oh, I put that in. Yeah. Oh, actually.
I think the other one is actually like Psalm or something. Yeah, so these 3 are their kids.
For sure. I know.
North
No,
West.
I didn't know
Oh,
that.
I get it.
Oh, you're more.
Oh, is that one not worth points maybe?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fine. So,
Or maybe just not.
right, I torn these.
What?
Sorry, not a lot of time on this one either. Ooh, my timing is bad here.
No, good job on it. No.
I already clicked it.
All right, guys. You guys, this is one of those exterior angle ones that since this is isosceles, these are both 75. Now you can figure out what this angle is and then subtract it from 180, but remember these 2 angles together should give you this one. So 75 and 75 is 150.
Todd, Dave.
Luke takes the lead. Which one proves these are congruent?
As long as I get every question right.
I answered the question faster than I
No, it's not. Unless I take like half.
So it's not the angle between this. Ms. Miller voting against you.
Oh, there's gonna be a lucky lady for Luke.
Oh. Which is not sufficient.
Why doesn't I click it? Stop.
So which
Oh,
one
I-
doesn't work?
Oh, I wish it was.
You just felt the opposite.
No, I love that word.
Oh, great.
It's just
Well,
a
filter.
word.
Filter.
It's a word. It doesn't like words.
All right, so HRO equals AJC, which equals HO. You're coming to tell me. Ah, my bad word. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I knew it, I saw it too. So HO goes with AC. Maybe not the best choice of words there. All right. Ooh, complementary. We haven't talked about this for a while. Complementary. 1 and 2 are complementary.
Yeah, I did the wrong one. I clicked up here, but it was on here.
So complementary means adds to adds to 90, not 180.
It was perfect. I think that's all you
I know, it's a long one. Angle G.
What is the measure of angle?
Oh, if I wanted that one, I'd say that 888.
Good work.
Oh, you're at 6. Yeah, that's right.
You looked at me, you looked at Susie.
I can't even see your screen. I looked over here and then I looked down.
I saw it.
Yeah, okay. You just have to find it.
Oh,
Oh, it's just back in the street of 3.
Someone doesn't say hi. I can't even see your screen.
Why?
Oh. So this animal was the subject of an infamous documentary series during the quarantine this past spring. There was a show about this.
Oh,
I don't
Really?
stop.
Wait, no.
It had the name and the title. Yeah. Tiger King. You guys, you missed that whole series? Yeah, there's Crazy Guy, there's Murder,
Oh,
there's.
this was a.
That was during quarantine though, that's when we watched it. Carol Baskin. Of course I know that. They have watched the series. Oh my gosh. Alright. So which way can you not name this angle? So one of these you can't use the name the angle.
What? This is, I don't know.
So Q, you can call it Q because that is the angle of that spot. It's like the Beyonce angle.
Oh.
As specific as you guys can be.
No.
Yeah, I know. The first ones were long, so I know at first it probably seemed like this would be the world's longest Kahoot. But so this is a ray. It goes on forever in one direction.
Oh.
You can start at P and go through R. We could have used P and then Q as well. Julia's on fire.
Nice.
So these are gonna be some always, sometimes, never questions. Always is supplementary.
Sometimes.
Always, sometimes, never. Careful, if they switch where things were. Or no, did they? We couldn't see. Always congruent, vertical angles. And always, sometimes, never.
Oh. I say that this is getting easy and then I missed two.
Then you missed one up.
I missed two of this. I messed this one up.
I swear, always, I do.
Is everyone wrong in? I thought we only had 17. No, 18.
Oh,
All right, this one's always. So in order to be parallel, they do have to be coplanar. That might have tripped some of you guys up. Yeah, that's a little technicality.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Next one.
Angle D. Frantic typing on a calculator.
That's where you
So they should all add to 180.
I think I did the right thing.
Shoot,
Oh.
you got it wrong.
Oh, wait, that's not.
That's right.
What you put?
That's the problem. I felt like we had to actually write it down for a second.
Darn it.
So many.
Alright, so this one's neither, you guys, because perpendicular is opposite reciprocal, and these are just reciprocal. So they're not the opposite signs.
This is stupid.
Okay, good, this one's worth points.
Darth Vader and Mufasa.
I don't know.
He's got that really big movie voice.
It's obviously the.
I'm going.
God damn it.
I got It's more.
Line 1 and 2, parallel, perpendicular, and neither. Why are they parallel? What can you do with those?
Simplify.
You can simplify, and they both become 2/3. It's the same slope.
I'm like,
Collinear.
Oh, what it is.
Collinear. 2 seconds.
I knew it.
So collinear, ETN. Oh, whoops.
Oh, yeah.
Oh gosh. I almost closed it up. All right, 4 more questions.
I said I'm pretty sure it's all.
Oh.
If you get this one wrong, I feel like you.
Make it wrong.
Now some of you guys are just being sassy.
Or just joking.
I hope you're not joking.
That'd be funny.
Which part's the conclusion? What can you conclude? Three seconds. So if is the hypothesis and then there's a conclusion and it's 4 sides. Lead change there. It's probably the last one for points. It's very serious music.
That was sort of simple.
Yeah, it's when he enters.
Yeah, it's like,
So this one, you guys, they had it add up to 180, so you had to add these two together, 4x plus 28 would equal 180. They're linear pair. So this is basically the leaderboard, someone got. This starts again on Friday. My kids are very excited, so that's fine. Other random.
I don't know. I don't use
Oh,
that.
gave us
That was-
points. Are you serious? That gave
Yeah,
us points.
It gave you points that
Yeah, it says 700.
No, that is not
I
fair.
don't use Kobe. I don't even watch Disney Plus.
That's not fair.
time. She's like multitasking here.
I did.
All right, top five, just recent, who else is on the top five? Kansas. You guys can come up for a treat. My one class, everyone goofy on my holy chart, so.
I was in fourth place. And I was in top five.
I think I was in fourth place.
Yeah, I watched, I saw.
Top turn.
Well, it's not.
Rewatch activity.
I saw.
Okay, guys. So we're gonna finish up with the last couple problems on our notes. Being plain, I know it's a long Kahoot, but for the exam.
That was not fair.
Now choir, it sounds like you're making up excuses about me.
Yeah, you can have that. No. God made me speak for a reason.
Well, Kansas is closer. Yeah, nicer.
All right. For whatever reason, every time I've done this exam review, I've had students ask me this question. They don't remember how to do these problems. Remember, we're just explaining ourselves as we go. Most of the time, the reasons are so straightforward and ones that you guys really know already that you probably don't even realize that you're doing the proof in your head. So we start with the given. We're trying to prove x is -9. Hopefully, if I did my math right. So what are we going to do first? What do you guys want to do? Yeah, go ahead, Bella. Distribute. So the reason we can do that is called the distributive property. So some of these rules might be something you guys want to put on your note card if you think you'll forget some of those names. Hopefully distributive property is not one of them, but if it is, go ahead and write that down. Okay. What do you guys want to do next? Simplify. So we like combining like terms, we call it simplifying in our proof. So simplify is kind of that, we're just kind of trying to make things make a little more sense to us, show that stuff. Okay? What do you want to do next? Okay, Bella, go ahead. Yeah, we're going to subtract that 2x over to the other side. So we're going to do -2x, if you want to show that right here. You get -18 equals 2x. And so since we said we're subtracting, that's all the rule is, subtraction property. Now all of these are properties of equality, that's what it says in your chart, but I don't need you to write all that out, that's okay. What do we want to do next? This is what you do next. I think you did it. Yeah, divide each side by 2, so we get -9 equals x. So she said she divided. So that's the division property. And there's still one more step. What's wrong with it? Yep, we gotta flip it. So normally we just do that in algebra, we don't even mention it, but we do need to say that in our proof that we're flipping that around. And do you guys remember the name? What's that? You said flip it? Yeah, that's not the name. So then, what?
No,
Yeah,
symmetric.
some metric. That might be one you want to write down. So the symmetric property that you can flip that, it's the same on either side. It sounds, or I always get confused with reflexive. Reflexive is the one where they have a shared side. So symmetric and reflexive are really similar ideas. All right, the last couple here are our big hotly debated distance formula. And so knowing how to do the distance formula, the midpoint, and then also slope is going to be helpful. And then we'll be done for today. So distance formula, if you have not yet put this on your note card, put it on your note card. Make sure it gets on there correctly. It'd be really sad if you put it on there wrong. I once had a girl put the slope formula on her note card wrong, and then every time slope came up, she did that wrong, which was really sad. She just had it flipped. But at least then she was making the same mistake every time. So we subtract the x's. Now, whatever order you choose to go in at the start, you have to continue that same order. So since I went -6 or -5 minus 6, then I have to do 4 minus and -2. Now, when you square a negative, anytime you square a negative, it should always become a positive. If you end up having the negative underneath your square root, something went wrong. So you want to be careful about that. Because -11 squared is 121, and this is 36. What is this, 157? So not a nice number. But if I asked you to round maybe to a couple decimal places, what do we get? Like 12 point, is it 12 point something? Anyone help me out?
12.5.
12.5-ish. And so yeah, you don't want to forget to take the square root. And that's like the second question on our exam review packet, I think. Midpoint, really similar to distance, but different enough to be confusing. We add the x's, add the y's, divide by 2. And so I get 1/2, and it's okay to get a fraction. 2/2 here. So it's 1/2 and then 1. That'd be my midpoint. And then finally, slope is our other formula that's really easy to get mixed up with these two. So making sure you have all these formulas on your note card. Again, we're finding the slope. And you might notice it's kind of the same numbers we worked with up here. So this will be 6 over, is it -11? What we get? Yeah. And that can't be simplified, so that would be our slope. Right, questions there? All right, did this address some of your guys' questions that were coming up on the review? I covered some of them. If there's still questions, you have about 15 minutes in here today. Feel free to ask. Again, I'll email that answer key out in a little bit. probably not tonight, it'll probably be later today. But if you're still struggling, stop in tomorrow in the morning. I can be here today after school as well. AR today, you guys actually do have some study time, so if you need to pop in today during AR actually would be okay. If you guys have quick questions to go over, or shoot me an email. So I have a student that emails me all the time with questions, and we email back and forth that way. So whatever works best for you guys. Okay? So the exam review should be done for tomorrow. Any other